Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, friends and neighbors. Welcome to Society Hall. So pleased you could be out with us tonight. You're in for a treat. It's going to be a night of beautiful music and great songwriting. I just want to, my name's Don Richmond. I'm one of the board members here at Society Hall, and I wanted to make a few announcements about some upcoming shows. Next Saturday night, a week from tomorrow night, we have a wonderful sort of bilingual, incredible artist named Lisa Morales, here from Austin, San Antonio area. Lisa used to play with her sister as Sisters Morales for many years and made a great name for themselves. Unfortunately, her sister passed away a few years ago from cancer, but Lisa has been continuing the tradition, putting out great music, and really is a wonderful entertainer. She'll be having her hot rod guitar slinger son playing with her, and it should be a great show. So hopefully you can make it out for that. That's July 20th. July 26th, sort of a all-female Western supergroup called Gone with the West will be here, and particularly special for the folks around here. One of the members of the band is, her name is Myrna Lewis, grew up as Myrna Hairsink, but she's from the San Luis Valley. She's the niece of a woman that taught many, many people around here to play fiddle, named Betty Friel. And Myrna grew up learning from Aunt Betty and has since gone on and become a very successful fiddler in Nashville. And so she's bringing this whole troupe of really all-stars. I mean, they've all made a name for themselves and in their own way, in their own field there, and with country, really sort of Western-oriented music. But anyway, they're amazing. They played here last year. It was a real treat. The next weekend, there'll be a theater presentation here on Saturday and Sunday from the SLV Theater Company. I believe both days is a 2 p.m. matinee. And August 9th, Sid Masters and the Swing Riders, more Western. We got quite a string of Western here coming up, but they're amazing. They're just a great group from down in New Mexico. August 16th, John Chandler, another Western singer from Denver. August 17th, the Tejas Brothers. They're favorites of mine. They are just a kick in the ass is how I would describe it. But they're a whole bunch of fun from down in the great state of Texas. August 23rd, Ordinary Elephant, a wonderful folk duo, and it goes on and on. Anyway, we'll be keeping the website up with what's coming up, and if you can get on our email list, we'll send you emails and stuff like that. But tonight, I've been listening to this gentleman's music for a while, and have been hearing about him for years, mostly from songwriters, people that would come through here from Texas or from wherever. They would say, "Have you heard Terry Klein? You should get Terry Klein." And if you listen to his songs, you'll understand why. People like Rodney Crowell and Walt Wilkins have been singing his praises, and he definitely has that feeling of, oh, these songs are going to stick around for a while. They're gonna do a lot of stuff out in the world and be heard by other, sung by other people and things like that. But anyway, it's a treat for us to have him. Would you please make welcome Terry Klein?
Yeah, that's us in the picture. Me with braces on my teeth, is hanging there on my shoulder. I was 12 at most, 13. It's unlikely I was happy, but there's a smile there on my face. Well, some flaws can be forgiven, some things can't be replaced. There beneath the surface, you can see what I'd become. It shimmers and hums. Yeah, the grief is like a millstone grinding in my gut. It's alright when it's working, but he keeps on getting stuck. 'Cause I still think that he's out there doing the same old things he did. Gnawed ashes in a metal box with blue duct tape on the lid. I feel kinda like a monster when I smile up at the sun. It shimmers and hums. Yes, the fondest recollection is mean in its own way. Say you'll make amends tomorrow, then tomorrow fades away. I like to think I'm an alright father. I hope my daughters would agree. I'd never felt a love like that. It was not to be believed. I wake up every morning thankful for what I'm not. There's a purpose and a balance to what we have and haven't got, like shapes and colors on a canvas that all blend, become one. It shimmers and hums. It shimmers and hums. It shimmers and hums. Shimmers and hums. Thank you. Thank you so much. What an incredible pleasure it is to be here. Last summer, I got a long string of texts from Walt Wilkins, who was playing here at that point, telling me, I didn't realize it yet because I thought it was the question had been asked but not answered, but that I was getting booked into Society Hall. And Walt described all the ways in which this is kind of the perfect songwriter gig. And so far, he's right. That first tune was called Shimmers and Hums. It's the first track on my newest record, which came out in November. I wrote that song at the beginning of 2023. My stepfather passed away in 2022 at the very end of the year. We had a very complicated relationship, and I spent months, if you look at my songwriting notebook, I spent months trying to process this. And one morning in April, I finally kind of happened on this, and I happened on the hook, the words shimmers and hums, and I did what most self-respecting songwriters do in that circumstance, and I Googled it to make sure nobody else had written a song with the same name. And what I found was the first hit on it was a hit from a art publication. in an interview with a painter rather, from Brooklyn named Rachel Wren. And the title of the article was Shimmers and Hums, and it's because during the interview, Rachel said that she wanted her paintings, which are these massive canvases with abstract geometric shapes and things like that, she wanted them to have the effect that it's as if they shimmer and hum. Which prompted me to go back and actually change the last verse of the song, because it was to add the notion about the canvas and the shapes and colors and that sort of thing. I recorded the record in June of 23 and finished it, and when it was mastered, I sent a copy of the master to Rachel. I found her email online, and I asked her if I could use one of her paintings for the cover of the album, and she said yes. And so if you're wondering about what's on the cover, that's what's on the cover. I played in New York City in April, and Rachel came to that show, and we finally got to meet. And she didn't know that she had affected the words of the songs. She didn't ask for any cut of the royalties, but it would be a very small amount of a very small amount. This tune's called Starting at Zero. I woke up this morning craving fried chicken and the hand that I used to hold. But the cast iron skillet is covered in rust. I'm starting at zero again. Well, there's a drip in the kitchen. The faucet is leaking. That might just be in my head. No time for whining, best get back to work. I'm starting at zero again. Yes, I'm hanging in there, I'm holding up fine. I tell them whenever they call, which is rarely, if ever, at all. I'm starting at zero again. Starting at zero. The back garden's grown over, but I mow the front lawn so the neighbors won't be concerned. I'm lost in the thicket of a love gone to seed. I'm starting at zero again. Shadows and echoes, cobwebs and smoke, boxes piled up in the hall. I'm off to Goodwill to give more away. I'm starting at zero again. Yes, I'm hanging in there, I'm holding up fine. I tell them whenever they call, which is rarely, if ever, at all. I'm starting at zero again. Starting at zero again. Thank you. Thank you so much. I wrote that with my friend Aaron Smith, who's a brilliant songwriter from Davis County, Arkansas. And his most recent album was a concept album about Davis County in Arkansas. And he wrote a book with it, like a long, really elaborate, wonderful book with it. And what I say about Aaron is that if anybody in our little songwriting community were to win a Genius Grant, it would be him. So he helped me bring that one home at the end of the day. I was a smoker when I was a young person, and I ultimately quit when I met my wife because she kind of scratched the itch, I guess. But I was a smoker as a teenager, and being a smoker as a teenager sucks because you don't have any money. I'm scrounging for $1, boy. I'm scrounging for change. I need money for my cigarettes. I got a habit I can't shake. I'll just be grateful it's nicotine and not the stuff they sell at Ardmore Way. Yeah, look between the cushions, boy, and check the bottom drawer. Well, we got $2.45. We're still $1.60 short. Well, don't bother checking that pickle jar. Ain't nothing in there anymore. Yeah, we need $1. 2 quarters and a dime. Just $1. 2 quarters and a dime. Oh, I don't have a license, boy. We just take my mama's car. Oh, she's with her man down in Hermosa. He runs his book out of a bar. Yeah, we'll just head over to Diaz Market, boy. That's okay. It ain't that far. I'll take a pack of L&M's. Sorry about all this change. Yeah, you know me, I know you. We both know that I'm of age. Oh, I'm gonna rip this plastic wrapper off and smoke these latchkey blues right away. Yeah, we found that $1. 2 quarters and a dime. Yes, $1. 2 quarters and a dime. Thanks. Thanks so much. This next tune is my only real Austin song. I live in Austin, Texas, now with my family, and we moved down there from Boston, Massachusetts, and July of 2016. Moving to Texas in the summer is a strange decision, but we did it. Spent a lot of time in swimming holes that summer. It was kind of a wet summer, so that was good. It eased us into it, and then I think the last couple summers have just completely broken us. But what are you gonna do? So this is an Austin tune. Our neighbors across the street used to be our neighbors. They moved. The guy had a Chrysler LeBaron coupe, and I was walking past it one day, and I started saying to myself, "Sky blue LeBaron convertible coupe." And I started saying it, and I said it again and again, and I realized, you know what, there's a song there. And so I didn't know this neighbor. I still have never met him. When I saw the moving trucks, I intended to walk over and hand him a copy of the CD, but I just didn't get around to it, probably because I'm kind of a coward and a wimp. But the tune is about a person. It's a character. It's an archetype of a certain kind of musician in Austin, Texas. And I've played this song a lot around Austin, and I have had multiple people come up to me and say, "I can't believe you wrote a song about this person." And it's always a different person. So this tune's called Sky Blue LeBaron. I drive a sky blue LeBaron convertible coupe. Paid $700 cash to a guy in North Loop. Transmission trouble, but the tape deck works. Original rims and a Delaware smirk. Got a pearl snap shirt with a hummingbird yoke. Thrift store boots with a tidy snip toe. My jeans have a hole where my wallet poked through. Irony lives, hell, what you gonna do? Ooh, what I say? Living breath to breath, by second, by minute, by hour, by day, by day. I'm in an all-right band called Bitter Revenge. Play bass and make a racket with a couple of friends. Almost got signed about 10 years back. Those days are gone, can't forget about that. My hair's long and curly and it's thinning on top. Might cause a ruckus if I cut it all off. Got a 10 o'clock slide at the Merry-Go Lounge. Hope Jenny's slinging drinks and her fella's out of town. Ooh, what I say? Living breath to breath, by second, by minute, by hour, by day, by day. We all want what we love to stay just the same, or maybe change in the way that we wish it would change. Some stuff you think will break stays right and true, like my sky blue LeBaron convertible coupe. Ooh, what I say? Living breath to breath, by second, by minute. Breath to breath, by second, by minute. Breath to breath, second, by minute. By hour, by day, by Well, thank you. Thank you so much. I wonder if Don wants to come up for a couple with me here. Here he comes.
You have to twist my arm, just not very hard, you know.
I told Don and I told Terry that 2 nights ago I played in Conejos Canyon at the Rocky Mountain Lodge with my friend Randy Brown, who some of you may know. But that's at 9,000 feet. And so now I just feel like I'm superhuman. Don and I were connected by Walt Wilkins, and I wanted to bring him up to play a couple songs off the second record I made with Walt. This first one, on this tour actually, I did the first 2 nights in Terlingua, Texas. Has anybody ever been to Terlingua? Oh, good. It's a wild, crazy, bizarre, kind of post-apocalyptic, weird place, but it's wonderful and beautiful too. And I went in July of 2017. My friend Claudia Gibson took me out there with her to play a couple shows, and I was so taken by it that when I got back to Austin, I was having recurring dreams about being in the desert out there. And not like scary dreams, not like I'm gonna die, it's hot, which would have been smart. It was just, they were very peaceful, wonderful dreams. And but I got tired of them, and so the only way to beat them was to write a song about it, and that's what I ended up doing. And this tune is called When the Ocotillo Bloom. It's an E, and it's a waltz. Oh, Terlingua, I think I've fallen for you. You haunt my Austin city dreams every night. How the land reclines on down to Lajitas, and the sun spares nothing in sight. To be on that terrace at Milagro in the morning before the heat stakes its ironclad claim in a ghost town surrounded by flat top mesas in a desert that can never be tamed. I love you, my darling, with all of my heart. Your mountains, your mescalero moon. I miss you, my darling, more than you know. But I'll be back, yes, I'll be back when the Ocotillo bloom. I'll be back when the Ocotillo bloom. Quicksilver miners rest side by side in a graveyard with crosses of wood. And tourist snap pictures get burned by the sun. Talk of buying up the desert. Well, the prices are good. I love you, my darling, with all of my heart. Your mountains, your mescalero moon. Yeah, I miss you, my darling, more than you know. But I'll be back, yes, I'll be back when the Ocotillo bloom. Yes, I'll be back. Ocotillo bloom. I love you, my darling, with all of my heart. Your mountains, mescaline moon. I miss you, my darling, more than you know. But I'll be back, yes, I'll be back when the Ocotillo blooms. I'll be back when the Ocotillo blooms. Well, thank you, Don.
Thank you.
Let's see here. So I mentioned that we moved to Austin in 2016. We moved to Austin. I had been a trial lawyer in Boston, Massachusetts for 15 years. I usually lead that joke off or whatever by saying I'm a recovering lawyer, but I don't know. So we moved to Austin, and one of the very first things I did is I went to this big folk music conference that they have down there called the Southwest Regional Folk Alliance Conference, or SWRFA, as it is known. And one of the critical activities there that you can use if people don't really know you super well is there's a bucket when you walk up to the registration table that's filled with little pieces of paper that have things called song prompts on them. So there are little things that try to give you an idea for writing a song. And I was super excited about this because this was my opportunity to distinguish myself. I viewed myself as a songwriter. I still do, but I viewed myself as a songwriter, and this was going to be my chance to shake things up and show people who I was. And I walked up and stuck my hand in that bucket, and I pulled out a piece of paper that said, "Dull women keep immaculate homes." And I was questioning some life decisions at that point. But as tends to happen, or as sometimes happens, this one was one of the easy ones to write. I wrote it over the course of about 90 minutes and changed one word after the fact. But this tune's on my first record that I made with Walt back in 2017, and it's called "Dull Women Keep Immaculate Homes." Well, Grandma June and Grandpa Joe lived up in Dutchess County. They had a tiny house on a big old piece of land. And that house was filled with books and sculptures and papers and paintings that take an MFA to understand. Well, sometimes Grandpa Joe, he'd almost lose his temper. He'd say, "June, this house is looking like a war zone." She'd put her hands on her hips, tilt her head to the left and say, "Dull women keep immaculate homes." Well, Grandpa Joe passed, and oh, how she missed him. That tiny house became a shrine of their love. And then she started adopting dogs and cats and hamsters. They kept her company along with the good Lord up above. But Daddy didn't like it, not for one single second. He said, "Mama, what on earth is going on?" She put her hands on her hips, tilted her head to the left and said, "Dull women keep immaculate homes." She said, "Oh, I've been so blessed. There's joy in this life, and you can find it if you're willing to make a mess." We lost Grandma June a year ago November. I hadn't cried like that since I was just a kid. We all met up in Uncle Milton's and drank and sang together, told off-color jokes like Grandma June would have did. Then we buried her in the cemetery right next to her beloved, and Daddy wouldn't say just what he put on her gravestone. I read that epitaph, and there etched in granite was, "Dull women keep immaculate homes. Dull women keep immaculate homes." Thank you so much. Thanks. You want to stay up here for one more?
Well, it's up to you. You want me to?
I'd love you to stay up here for this one.
Okay.
And then I'll release you. Because I was a lawyer, I was the designated grown-up in my family for a lot of years, and I still kind of am, for better or worse. If somebody needed like an executor, I was the executor, or a trustee, or that sort of thing. It all came to a head in 2015 when my little brother asked me to officiate his wedding, and that was intimidating, but I got through it. I wrote a little homily with my notions of what makes for a successful marriage. At that point, I'd been married for 14 years, and now I've been married for 23. And so I'm unwilling to admit that I'm good at a whole lot of things, but I think I am not too bad at being a husband and a dad. A couple summers ago, my sister-in-law got married, and I decided to turn the homily into a song and play it for her and for her husband-to-be the night before they got married. And I played it, and they loved it so much that they asked me to play it for their first dance the next night. And I have been in some very high-pressure musical performance situations, but nothing quite approaches that. And this is, this tune's called Wedding Day Eve, and I feel compelled to mention, as I have, that there were some folks at that wedding who have passed on since then, just 2 summers ago, some very dear people to us, and so I think of them too when I sing this one. Say I love you as much as you can, and take any old excuse to hold their hand. Well, this stuff is basic, it's simple too, but so's the sunrise. Do the dishes when it's not your turn. It's not about what's owed or what's been earned from a giving heart, the unexpected bloom in good and bad times. Well, you didn't ask for my advice, I'm giving it to you all the same. Yeah, we're all out in the meadow here tonight on the eve of your wedding day. dress in layers, 'cause things will change. You can squeeze your eyes shut, the fact remains, the change will come, and when it does, best leave the light on and be excited and full of heart, like every speck of dust is a work of art. These moments shared make up a life you can look back on. Well, you didn't ask for my advice, I'm giving it to you all the same. Yeah, we're all out in the meadow here tonight on the eve of your wedding day. Your wedding day. Wedding day. Thank you. Thank you. Sure. Well, this one's a fun one. I want you to actually stay up here if you want. This will be the last one we do before we take a little break.
Okay. What I tend to do with my tour schedules, I tend to tour a lot during the summer, and then during the school year, because we still have one daughter in high school, I'll usually pick a month in the fall and a month in the spring, and I'll go out for basically like a month. And that system just kind of seems to work for me. But in April of 2019, I went out on one of these super long runs, and my last night was in Lynchburg, Virginia. Why would I go there? Because my college roommate just happens to live there, and I wanted to hang out with him. This is how tours get routed. It's just how it happens. We were sitting on his back porch. And it was late. And we were just shooting the bull and drinking a little bit of bourbon and just talking with each other about life in general. And he mentioned the fact, we were talking about our kids and you know, how they sometimes were vegetarians and sometimes weren't, and it was complicated. And he said that his daughter, when she was 5, had asked him, "Daddy, does the fish feel the knife?" And it's very often the case when you're a songwriter that you'll be having a conversation with somebody who's not a songwriter, and you'll say something, and then they'll say back to you, "There's a song in that." And there never is. But what's rare and what's more precious is when somebody says something to you and you say back to them, "That's a song." And this was one of those instances. This tune's on my 3rd record. It's called "Does the Fish Feel the Knife?" Does the fish feel the knife? That's what she asked me.
and I did not know how I should respond. She asked me again, said, Daddy, did you hear me? And the answer that I gave would get it wrong. Yeah, most things seem kind of simple until you poke at them even just a little. Does the fish feel the knife? What happens when we die? Is it kind of like sleeping? Well, she asked me this, and I was at a loss. Driving home from a wake early in the evening, I'd seen her staring up at Jesus on the cross. And you can't say no one knows, not to a girl who's 4 years old. Does the fish feel the knife? You need a license to drive a car, to shoot a buck, to cut a man's hair. Anyone can have a kid. They'll send you home, good luck, take care. Does the fish feel the knife? Daddy, who's that man? Was he always on the corner? Well, she asked me as we sat there at the light. A cardboard sign, spare a dime or a quarter. Man, there's so much in this world that just ain't right. We let folks slip through the cracks. No, I wasn't gonna tell her that. Does the fish feel the knife? You need a license to drive a car, to shoot a buck, to cut a man's hair. Anyone can have a kid. I'll send you home, good luck, take care. Does the fish feel the knife? 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 Thank you. We're going to take a little break and be back in a little bit.
All right. Terry Klein, ladies and gentlemen. Terry's got some CDs back there on the merch table, and check them out if you can, and have some wine and chocolate chip cookies. I mean, if you dip the chocolate chip cookies in your wine, it's a unique experience. Maybe not a good one, but a unique one. Anyway, Terry will be back in a bit.
Last night's show had an itch in my throat. I woke up this morning, it was gone. Black coffee breakfast, not a cloud in the sky. Feeling shaky, edgy, all kinds of wrong. Played brunch at Charlie's in the LED glare. Started feeling kinda dizzy in my high-top chair, but I finished the set. Packed up my car, started driving back to Austin. Hope I get that far. I'm doing 60 in a 75, having a panic attack. I just got flipped off and passed by her grandma in a Cadillac. Yeah, tunnel vision, cold sweat, could be a stroke. If I took a sip of water, man, I'd probably choke. I guess I'm in the market for an SSRI, doing 60 in a 75. I think of pulling off, maybe making a call. Don't know to who or what the hell I would say. Maybe try to sing a little, might calm me down. Sorta better, not bad, okay. By the time I hit the brazos, things are evening out. I try to listen to some music, but it's twist and shout. That's a little too much. And the sun's in my eyes, so I skip it, and the next one's waiting round to die. I'm doing 60 in a 75, having a panic attack. I just got flipped off and passed by a grandma in a Cadillac. Yeah, tunnel vision, cold sweat, could be a stroke. If I took a sip of water, man, I'd probably choke. I guess I'm in the market for an SSRI, doing 60 in a 75. I guess I'm in the market for an SSRI, doing 60 in a 75. Thanks. Being a touring musician isn't super easy. It's extra fun when you have difficulty managing your anxiety. But it's very rare that all of my songs are like any more than like 12 or 13% true. That one's like more like 68% true. It's funny, I make these set lists and I put songs next to each other and I don't think about why, and then I realize why I did it after the fact. This next tune is the result of two things that were happening at one time in my life. Number one is I was kind of reading a fair amount of kind of Eastern and older philosophy to try to work on kind of better organic anxiety management sort of stuff. And so on one hand, and on the other hand, I was reading a bunch of Jim Harrison novellas. Jim Harrison is a wonderful writer from the Upper Peninsula in Michigan, and his stories are peopled with the kind of people that show up in this song. So when you put those two things together, you get a song called This Too Shall Pass. Skunk-faced McGee walked into the bar, asked for a bourbon from the rail and a beer. Barkeep asked if he had any cash. He said, let's check in his pocket right here. He pulled a big fat roll from his old brown coat. It was all 50s and 100s for days. Knew better than to ask him how he'd had such luck. Sometimes a blind squirrel even gets paid. Yeah, good luck ain't always good luck, and bad luck ain't always bad. Oh, this too shall pass. This too shall pass. Skunk Face bought the next 4 or 5 rounds, and he stumbled out into the night. He had a brand new coat at the bar the next day, and a faraway look in his eyes. He'd thrown that old brown coat off the bridge into the river and watched as it floated away. He didn't know what he'd done till he felt for the money, but by then it was a little too late. Yeah, good luck ain't always good luck, and bad luck ain't always bad. Oh, this too shall pass. This too shall pass. Back at the bar, a couple days later, me and Skunk Face watching the news. Seems the cops caught a body with a hole in its head in an alley back of Sweet Mama Lou's. There was a shot of the scene, and Skunk Face hollered. I said, well, buddy, what do you know? Behind the yellow tape among the spent shell casings, there was Skunk Face's old brown coat. Yeah, good luck ain't always good luck, and bad luck ain't always bad. Oh, this too shall pass. This too shall pass. This too shall pass. This too shall pass. You know, I mentioned Walt as a mentor. The thing that Walt can do that I cannot do is write positive, happy, hopeful songs. And so a few years ago, I just decided to lean into that. And I thought about, there's an old family story that's very elaborate. And it involved my brother's cousin, whose name was Jimmy Klein, getting framed for the murder of his wife in the late 1970s. He was framed by the Chicago Mafia, and getting framed by anybody is a bad deal, but getting framed by them is a really super bad deal because there's really no way out. And so I wrote this next song. My friend from Crestone, Cheryl Rowe, is here. And this song is called Cheryl, but it has nothing to do with Cheryl. I'll talk more about Cheryl in a minute, but it has nothing to do with her. Don't picture her when you think of this song, because Cheryl doesn't, yeah. This is the story from Jimmy's perspective. And there's a second song too. I met Cheryl at a bar on Delancey.
It's a straight line from that night to this here cell. I was a good-looking kid from Riverdale, just hit 26. Had a job at a private bank, paid me pretty well. She looked just like she'd stepped out of a movie by Louis Malle or Jean-Luc Godard. And she smiled when I asked her for her number. She said, "Here it is, just don't break my heart." The thrill of catching lightning in a bottle ends in ashes and a black mark on the ground. Me and Cheryl got married 4 months later. My mom and dad were not exactly pleased. You see, Cheryl was connected to the outfit in Chicago. I wasn't sure how it did much matter to me. We bought a big old house and moved on up to Westport. And Cheryl hired a maid from Cartagena. And my job at the bank kept me busy. Cheryl kept busy moving Lupe's cocaine. The thrill of catching lightning in a bottle ends in ashes and a black mark on the ground. Well, there are certain things you always remember, no matter how hard you try to forget. For me, it's the call from Detective White in Westport, and telling me that Cheryl and Lupe had been shot dead. And in spite of Lupe's cartel connections and the outfit's concern for just what Cheryl knew, well, they brought me up on a charge of double murder. They're holding me until the trial's through. The thrill of catching lightning in a bottle ends in ashes and a black mark on the ground. I doubt I can make it here much longer. I suspect I'll meet my end in this here cell. St. Peter, I won't need that spot in heaven. No, I'd rather be with Cheryl down in hell. The thrill of catching lightning in a bottle ends in ashes and a black mark on the ground. Thanks. So, thank you. I used to sing that song, and I would then have to tell the whole rest of the story and all this stuff that happened. And I like songs to be able to stand on their own. So I sort of fudged it a little bit and wrote a second song about the same set of facts, just from a different perspective. I'm a huge fan of an author from Iowa City, Iowa, whose name is Marilyn Robinson. She wrote what I consider to be one of the 3 best books of the 21st century. It's a book called Gilead, about a little town in Iowa and a preacher. And so she wrote that book, and then she's written 4 other books, I believe, from talking about the same series of events, but from the perspective of different characters. And you'd think that would just sort of get kind of old after a while, but it doesn't at all, because she's such a brilliant writer. So I decided to try to write a second song about Jimmy's situation from a different perspective. But I needed it to be from a perspective of somebody who really knew what happened. And the only person who I could really be certain knew what happened was the person who actually did the killing. And so I wrote this song from his perspective. It's called Well Enough Alone. I remember her from Chicago. I forget what she called herself then. I blew her brains out there in the kitchen. I blew the maid's brains out in the den. They call it wet work, but that's a cop-out. No, killing is my stock and my trade. I was told to frame the husband. He was handcuffed on that very day. Well, you won't see me coming, and I'll leave no trace when I'm gone. Oh, some folks learn the hard way. It's best letting well enough alone. The husband had an uncle, and that uncle somehow got him sprung. The husband checked into a midtown hotel. It fell to me yet again to get it done. I left him hanging there from a doorknob. They looked in vain, no note was ever found. Yeah, the thrill of catching lightning in a bottle ends in ashes and a black mark on the ground. Well, you won't see me coming, and I'll leave no trace when I'm gone. Oh, some folks learn the hard way. It's best letting well enough alone. The uncle was a loose end, and you can't have loose ends in this job. He met the maker a few nights later. It kinda looked like his store had been robbed. Well, you want me to have misgivings. You want me to be a tortured soul. But the world needs men skilled at killing. Somewhere in your heart, this you know. Well, you won't see me coming, and I'll leave no trace when I'm gone. Oh, some folks learn the hard way. It's best letting well enough alone. Thank you. Hey, Don, you want to come up for a few? Well, Don gets set up. I'll talk about the fact that I practiced law for all these years in Boston, and I would take the commuter rail train in from where we lived, which was in the city of Boston, but just kind of very far out, a little neighborhood called West Roxbury. And I would take the train in, and I would look out the window. I would read and I'd listen to music, but I would look out the window quite a bit. And there's one stretch of those tracks where you pass by the Arnold Arboretum, which is the Arboretum of Harvard University. And I remember looking out at that and thinking to myself, it would be really cool if instead of looking out at this vast, beautiful expanse of green space where people are walking their dogs, if instead of being on the inside of this train, I would be on the outside looking in. In January of 2016, I stepped away from my law practice, or started to, and in the mornings I would walk, and I would write when I walked, and then in the afternoon I'd go into the office and try not to cause trouble. But where I'd walk was the Arnold Arboretum. It was about a 15-minute walk from our house, and then you could do a loop around it that was like about an hour. And one day I was walking along there, and I saw the commuter rail train go by. And the idea for this song came to me, I think, in that very moment. It's called That Used to Be My Train. Yes, 400 tons of steel and rust rumbling down the line. It's the 718 local making every stop. They're standing in the aisles, checking on the markets and staring at their phones. A woman with a Bible sits and prays. That used to be my train. Yes, I'd stare out of the tempered glass at hemlock, oak, and white pine. crammed into the middle seat. Well, that local kept rolling down the line. My tie was tied too tight. I was sweating in my suit. My soul shot up with Novocaine. That used to be my train. Well, I'm not quite sure when it happened or what made up my mind. I said, for the love of all that's good and right, I'm through. I put away my briefcase. It's in a closet gathering dust with the carpet beetles chewing on my suits. Well, now from the top of Primrose Hill, I can see that local rolling by. There's a melody that's after me, and words getting gathered up in lines. Some folks might say I'm reckless. I respectfully disagree. I just did something crazy to get sane. That used to be my train. 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 Oh. Thank you. Thank you. Stick around. So I mentioned Sheryl Rowe in January, right at that same time that I was walking away from the law practice. I went to an incredible songwriting retreat in Nashville, put on by Mary Gaucher. And it was just an incredible experience of 20 people being vulnerable with each other and loving each other, even though we'd never met before, and rooting for each other. You know, there was a lot of learning, but then there was a lot of sharing of new songs at Mary's instigation. And this tune I had written in October of 2015, and it felt far too personal for me to share with the world. And Mary coaxed it out of me at this workshop, and it was a moment that really changed my life in a lot of different ways. It taught me what songwriting is about, for me at least, and it gave me the notion that this decision I was making was probably right. But this tune, we have two just gorgeous daughters. They're 15 and 19. But there was a time when we didn't know if we were going to be able to have children. And in those hard moments, you can really fall in love with somebody, if that makes any sense. This tune's called Better Luck Next Time. I put the books in a box just as quick as I can, and I hope she doesn't see it. No, she's downstairs in the kitchen with a half-drunk can of beer. Birds keep singing and the grass still grows. Next time, better luck. Next time, the box goes in the closet where she never looks, and I wonder what the hell we'll do next. I sit down at the table and I try to take her hand. She says I don't want to be touched just yet. Better luck next time. Next time, I said, tell me what you wanna do. I'll do anything at all. And she says, honey, just get me out of here. So we jump into the car and we drive through the night in a useless attempt to outrun our tears. Better luck next time. Better luck next time. On a bed in a broken down motel, and silently I begin to cry. She sits down next to me and puts her hand on my arm. She says we'll have better luck next time. Next time, better luck. Next time, better luck. Thank you. Thank you. You want to stay up here and play a fun one with me? think I have a couple more, but I'd play a fun one.
They're all fun.
They're all fun, but this one has hookers in it. I was driving with my touring partner kind of before he stepped away from music a tiny little bit. We were driving through the Salinas Valley in California during fire season. And in fire season, everything is brown. The sky is brown, the hills are brown, everything is brown. And we were driving down from the San Francisco area to the Santa Barbara area for a show, and we came up behind this big truck that was laden with the most beautiful red bell peppers I've ever seen in my entire life. And I think they were especially pretty because everything was brown, and then you see this shock of red, and it's like a miracle. But this song was born in that moment. I wrote this before I read East of Eden by John Steinbeck, which I highly recommend if you haven't read it. It's a wonderful book. And after I read that, I was like, how did I not read this before I wrote this song? It's weird. The tune's called Salinas. I once knew a woman from Salinas, so fine, like a ripe bell pepper and a pepper patch. She's sometimes on my mind. In this rusted old green truck to Monterey I ride. In the cannery I work. In the cannery I'll die, sweet Eliza on Friday, sweet Jane on Saturday. They give me some of their loving, I give them most of my pay. Oh. Came to this valley with Joseph Sinclair Hicks. He said there weren't one problem us workers had that a union would not fix. One night up in Gilroy, they laid Big Joseph low. They say they caught him in the stable with the foreman's wife, but that don't sound like Joe. Sweet Eliza on Friday, sweet Jane on Saturday. They give me some of their loving, I give them most of my pay. Oh. Done with the good Lord, and I hope you understand. You see, the homestead back in Goodwill is under half a foot of sand. Sweet Eliza on Friday, sweet Jane on Saturday. They give me some of their loving, I give them most of my pay. Sweet Eliza on Friday, sweet Jane on Saturday. They give me some of their loving, and I give them most of my pay. Thank you. Thank you, Don. Cool. Thank you so much, Don, for having me, and to all of the Society Hall folks who are here this is a wonderful, wonderful place in a wonderful part of the world, and I feel immensely fortunate to have kind of gotten the call and gotten the invitation. So thank you so much, and thank you all for being here.
Well, thank you for making it here, Terry, and hope you'll come back.
I think I'm good. I think I have one more.
Okay, you're good on your...
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, Don. Let's see here. This was my stepfather's favorite song of mine. And you just never know what someone's going through. And the most wonderful compliment I think I've ever gotten as a songwriter was from Walt Wilkins. Right before we kind of shared a bill when I released this most recent record, and we had dinner beforehand, and he said, you know, your songs are a bottomless aquifer of empathy. And I was just like, yeah. So this tune's called Oklahoma. Thank you all so much for listening. Buy a 6-pack of beer east of Chakota at a truck stop, and I get back on to the road. I drink one after the next, and I admire that prairie sunset, and I hope I-40 carries me back home. My sister said the dead could use a visit. I said, I don't know what good that would do. See, I've been drinking and depressed and kind of useless. She said it might not be a bad thing for you to. So I'm driving across Oklahoma, doing all I can to stay in my own lane. Should have turned around back in Arkansas, but I got my mother's blood in my veins. Oh, 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 oh. I'm in a cold sweat west of Okema. I wish my racing heart would just give it a rest. I think of pulling off and picking up a half pint of Smirnoff, but I hear my mother's sweet voice in my head. She said, I need you to try and be there for your daddy. I know it's hard for you, just do the best you can. she was gone just a few short hours later. And Dad refused to let go of her hand. So I'm driving across Oklahoma, doing all I can to stay in my own lane. I should have turned around back in Arkansas, but I got my mother's blood in my veins. Oh, 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 be my first time at the house since the reception. I've been saying it's tough for me to get away. Now facing down the dear departed memories, and my daddy's grief might be more than I can take. But I'm driving across Oklahoma, doing all I can to stay in my own lane. I should have turned around back in Arkansas, but I got my mother's blood in my veins. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thanks. Thanks. Thanks a bunch.
Much for coming, and just want to remind you, Lisa Morales next Saturday, and one more hand for Terry Klein, if you would. And you all be well wherever you're headed, and I hope to see you again here as soon as possible. Thanks again, and have a great night.